joined now by Jeremy King, the founder of Festival of Women's Football Awards, which celebrates women's football from grassroots to the professional level and aims to drive investment into the sport. Jeremy, I'm so glad you're here in the studio with us because we've been catching up about this because I'm going to be working at this event with you, which I'm so happy to be involved in because it sounds excellent.
Yeah, no, we're very excited I'm excited to be here and very excited to have you host the awards for us. It should be really exciting. Our aim is to have, from grassroots to professional, have them in the room. I'm going to bring down one of my grassroots teams for a little bit as well, so I think they'll be there. Already asked the parents, so it should be quite an exciting event.
What is it about you that made you want to get involved in grassroots and particularly push the women's game as well?
So about 6 years ago, I have 3 daughters and 2 of them came to me and said they were bored of playing in boys-only football teams. And they said, do you think you could help us set up a girls' team? So I went to the club I play for and I said, I've 2 daughters keen to play, and someone else, a coach who was there already, said that I've got 2 daughters as well. So we started with about 20 girls to start with. We've now got 160 girls from...
Oh my word!
Yeah, under 8s to under 16s, which is amazing. And so I've seen the highs and the lows of grassroots football from, parents who are a little bit pushy to clubs where you turn up and you're on the worst pitch because the boys are on the other pitches, to clubs where you turn up and the parents are having to get goalposts out of a community centre, lock up and hang the nets. But also equally seeing the girls develop and play and enjoy themselves.
So you've seen absolutely everything from girls in football into women's in football, where it's going so professional now. What do you make of it all? Do you think we're on one path and the path is upwards?
Yeah, I think so. I think the thing that I've noticed is the PR coverage is huge, right? And I think the reason we kind of put the awards together was because you had this coverage, but equally the investment is still low. And it's trying to get those brands and potential investors to look at the game and say, actually, there's so much opportunity because it's such a great, safe space. And I think people don't understand the opportunities in women's football, and particularly if you're trying to reach specific audiences. I think it's brilliant, and I think we are on this trajectory now. We just got to keep that momentum going.
And these brands who could be doing more. I mean, we saw that stat that came out. You might be closer to this and understand it more. Was it 2 weeks ago? 1.8 billion.
Yes, yeah.
Worth of investment in brands and TV rights to the women's game. That's incredible. Isn't it? Like, is that true?
Yes, yeah. So that was the latest Deloitte paper, and they study this and they have a year-long study into it, and I think it is. I think the problem is it's not kind of reaching down to the bottom at the moment. It's stuck at the top, and I think the key is to be able to push it down. And I think that's the great thing about the women's game. I think it's now beginning to understand it doesn't have to be like the men's game, and actually we can do things differently. It's almost like ground zero and working up, which I think is the key piece.
That was good about speaking to Ella there, because Ipswich are a huge football club, right? Absolutely massive. Now they've got the women's team that are doing their thing and they've got investment elsewhere. And if they go up to the championship, which looks like it's going to happen, then it becomes more investment. You've got names like Ella and personalities there that can help push the women's game for what it is in its own entity. It's a really welcoming space, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think it's unbelievable. And when I take my daughters to some of the games, what I love about it is the fact that you see a whole variety of people. There's certain things you see at women's football that you never get at men's football. The atmosphere is always jovial, is always fun, whoever's playing. And the banter, we went to the recent Spurs-Arsenal derby, and it was quite interesting. There were girls in front who were Spurs fans and girls behind that were Arsenal fans, and they were bantering throughout the game, but really friendly and nice. And it was just so nice to see. And that whole thing about being entertained and having that whole family atmosphere to it as well is just brilliant.
I mean, I've been taking my kids since they were born, really, to the women's football games, and it's funny how now they see that as the norm. I speak about it on the show all the time. And then their auntie, my sister, she'll be like, these two ain't got a clue. She's like, we used to have to pay £2.50 for our subs. There'd be a dog taking a wee on our boot bag, and we're all running about together. There's about 12 of you in a minibus, all going up and down the country kind of thing. It's such a different time, and there's nothing wrong with just embracing that and enjoying the change.
Yeah, I agree. And there's so many people I've spoken to. I've been on this journey for 2 years we started talking to people in the women's football industry, and we had the judging this week, and I said to the judges, I said, what's been amazing is I spoke to 2 of you that I knew, and suddenly you introduced me to 40 other people. Then I went from that 40 to 80, and then that 80 went to 100, and then it went to 200, and suddenly I can honestly say in 18 months, I've probably spoken to about 400 people in the industry and had their views, their thoughts. And one thing that always came to me was, it's so wonderful that there's these opportunities for girls to actually go into girls' teams now. And, you know, even girls who are only mine are 12, 10 and 6, but only some girls who are 18, 20 didn't get the same opportunities as there are now, which I think is incredible. And the interest is just brilliant.
It's so good, and I'm glad we're sitting here having positive conversations about it as well. The awards night on the 23rd of April, tell us about what people can expect from this. Is there still ways people can get involved?
With my old business, other business, Festival Media, we got rid of the sit-down black tie award ceremonies about 10 years ago, just to make them a bit more interactive. So there's food and there's drink and hospitality, and then you go upstairs and we have like an awards cinema, and then you'll take to the stage. Give us the overview of what's happening, and we'll have some great presenters. And the idea is to have some grassroots players presenting to some professional players, and some professional players presenting to some grassroots, and bring to life some amazing stories that we've seen.
You said when you were going through the judging process in the last couple of weeks, there was a story that really stood out to you. Tell us about that.
Yes, there was a lady, she had 3/4 completed her application for Grassroots Coach of the Year. And I emailed her and just said, oh, the deadline is in a few days. And she took a day to come back to me, came back and she said, oh, I'm not sure, Jeremy, that I'm good enough and the competition will be so high. I then read through what she'd written and I said, look, I have to be honest, you've got a brilliant application here, you should definitely finish it. We sat there on Tuesday, went through the entries, the judges discussed and debated, and she's only gone and won Grassroots Coach of the Year, which is a beautiful story.
I mean, and it's just encouraging as well. I think if people are sitting maybe sometimes doubting themselves, that imposter syndrome, am I good enough or whatever, it's actually like, believe in yourself, you know, you're really good.
Yes, yeah. And it's so many wonderful characters in women's sport, I feel, that need that spotlight shined on them, and it needs to be showcased in that manner. And that's what we're trying to do. And we didn't want to leave anyone out. So we've got the grassroots, the professionals, and then we've got the people behind the scenes. So those involved in things like sponsorship deals or experiential activations.
Yeah. How do you think, as a business person, how does professional support grassroots? Is there more that could be done there from the professional game to really push the levels like lower at the beginning?
Yeah, I always think that piece of education is the key piece. So, you know, we can use the professional clubs to talk to the grassroots players about their journeys. We can talk to the academies, and the clubs can put their academies. There's so many academies now, and it's wonderful. You know, in one of the teams I manage, there's a few girls who are playing for academies at various professional clubs. But I think there's more to do in the sense that go and see some of the training sessions for some of these kids and talk to them. We had Enianuku came to our London Lions training session, and the girls' faces lit up, and they came around her and she took a bit of the session, which was absolutely fantastic. So,
and we've seen a lot of that on social media as well, players going back to where it all started for them. And I think being able to, the amount of people who sit in that chair, Jeremy, when they're here talking to us and say, I want to be able now to give back, it's like, go back, then go to grassroots and really push that, because I mean, how much that can inspire the younger generation is so important.
I absolutely agree. And that's been one of our pitches, I suppose, to brands who we've wanted to get involved in the project and say, look, you could be on and involved with girls from grassroots all the way up to the top of the pyramid. And I said, it's great, you know, and we want to show how the power of women's football and sport is not just actually about becoming the best footballer. You can take the skills and the confidence and take it into your personal and professional life later in life, which we think is brilliant. And that's what we're championing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly, a word on the World Cup as well. I mean, 2035, I was sitting here having this conversation now about the event on the 23rd of April. I can't imagine 10 years from now, Jeremy, where it's going to be. I can't wait.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, my biggest problem was...
Hope I'm not dead.
Yeah, well, you laugh. I sat there and I was like, 2035, oh my God, I'm going to be nearly 60. And I was thinking, how old are my girls going to be? Are they still going to be playing? But I think by then, it should be amazing. The impact of the Euros here was incredible. I mean, we took a punt on tickets for the Euros final before it even started, and I loved it. We got 5 tickets for £56 to the Euros
to Wembley,
final.
Euros
to Wembley.
final.
Yes.
Oh my God, those tickets were gold dust, Jeremy.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Everybody, people who hadn't spoken to in 15 years were like, any chance you can get me a ticket to Wembley? And on the day of, and I'm like, no, no, I can't do that. I actually met a friend that I'm still in touch with now. Her name's Hannah Robb. She's a golfer. And I was trying to get a ticket. I couldn't get in. And I'd covered the whole event. You know, I'd covered the whole thing up to, I couldn't get a ticket in Wembley. And I ended up on social media, like, please God, like if anyone has a spare ticket, I'll pay what I can for it. And this girl, Hannah, who was, she always watched myself and my sister's YouTube channels, she got in touch. She said, you need to sit with me, but, you know, the ticket's there if you want it, because her mum couldn't go with it anymore. We're still mates now. The atmosphere that day, to know that you were in Wembley with your kids, to watch that changing point. I mean, there's been multiple changing points, but that one was the one, right? That was the one. Just to witness that special, incredible moment. I mean, I'm Scottish-Irish, and I was like, go on, the Lionesses! You know, that day. It's just so cool.
It was unbelievable. I said to my youngest daughter, who's now 6, she was 3, I said to her, you've witnessed England win a trophy. You know, I'm nearly 50, and I have not seen us win a trophy. You've seen it in your first ever game, and it was brilliant.
Jeremy, thank you so much for coming in.
Wonderful, thank you.
What an interesting show, lots to unpack there. Please get in the comments, leave your say on what you thought of today and who you would still like to see on the kickback coming up. We're building up to the Euros, about 80 odd days to go now. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.